Extraordinary breaking news, which you just heard there from San Francis. Lucy.
Absolutely extraordinary piece of breaking news just come in. Extraordinary breaking news just come in. Right, before I even get to talking about Lucy Connelly, okay, I just want you to just take in what an absolute pantomime piece of theatre the news is. You know, the way the scene is framed, you've got these two anchors there with their glasses on and their cups of coffee, and they're surrounded by the newspapers all spread out over their desk, and they've got the earpiece in, and there's screens in the background, and all the information is filtering into the newsroom. And out there in the newsroom are a team of super sleuth detectives. They're poring over all the information. They're looking through the files. They're checking out what's true and what not true, and they're getting all the information coming in, breaking information, and then they're sort of processing it through the machine, and they're spitting out the truth of exactly what's happening in real time. This is an incredible piece of breaking news. We've got all the newspapers, we got the Sun, we got the Mirror, we're going through everything, all the information's coming in here, the truth is spitting out the end of it. All you need to do is tune into the news and you'll know exactly what the truth is, because we're looking at it and we're going through everything and we're bringing it to you, except the fact that it is all complete nonsense. Okay? That is not the way the news works. You really think that's the way the news works? This is the way the news works. Okay? Whatever the people that run society want you to think, however they want you to think, the people who work at the news, these news anchors who just look ridiculous, they're given a script. They're given what to say. It's planned out months in advance. 99.99% of the stuff you see on the news is fake, okay? And it's just a giant psychological operation, right? Where they're just manipulating the emotions and the feelings of the people that are stupid enough to still watch the news in 2025. And the whole pantomime of having the newspapers spread across the desk, like, we've got all this information and we're looking through it for you. Those newspapers, as we all know, just exist to poison the minds of anyone stupid enough to read them. There isn't an ounce of truth in the Sun or the Mirror, but you see these news anchors on GB News, you know, doing this theatre of breaking news just coming in. We've just poured over these newspapers and the live news feed, and let me tell you, something incredible has just happened. And you guys should be scared, okay, to exercise free speech. You guys, if you think there's something wrong with the government, the way the country's being run, let me tell you something. Breaking news. You should be absolutely terrified to say what you think. You should fear being put into prison. And it's absolutely disgusting what's happened. And the fruit of what's happened is that you should be terrified. You should be absolutely panicking, and you should hide yourself away. You should be terrified of the government because they've got the power to just throw you in prison, and that's essentially what's going on here, okay? Lucy Connelly, in my opinion, it's a completely made-up, fabricated story. I don't believe that any of it's real, all right? And the narrative, the pantomime that you're being pushed is that this lady, this mum, this wife of a conservative councillor, she tweeted this horrible racist thing about, there's all these asylum seekers and they're in hotels and I hope they all die, or something extremely racist and right-wing. And then she's been locked up in prison for a year and a half, and her appeal's been denied. And, you know, first of all, what she's supposed to have said, they always make it as racist and as actually far right as they can, you know, so that the people who are on the other side of the fence look at it and they're appalled anyway. You know, but you got to remember that what GB News is. GB News is the propaganda station for people who figured out that the government are deliberately destroying the country in every way they can, and that's the role that GB News plays. It's the news for the type of normies that have figured out that something's up and they want to feel switched on. They want to feel like they're getting the breaking news from all the newspapers and the news anchors. And how they want those people to feel at the moment from the Lucy Connelly story, they want them to feel outraged, they want them to feel afraid, and they want them to make them angry, and this country's crazy, and, you know, That's basically where they're going with this. But let me just run some more of the news clip and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Connelly, she's the wife of a Conservative councillor. Her appeal against the 31-month sentence for putting out an intemperate tweet in the aftermath of the Southport.
Do you know what my favourite bit of theatre here is? The lady on the right of your screen, as the guy is trying to wind you up on the left, she keeps going. So I tell you, if you're watching this, you should feel like it's unbelievable what's happening here, and God, you should be frustrated, and you shouldn't be able to believe it. And this is just a bridge too far, and you know what I mean. She just has to act out exactly how this piece of news is supposed to make you feel, in case you didn't get that.
The aftermath of the Southport murders has been dismissed, so she will remain in prison. She's not particularly. She's.
Let's just have a minute to think about this country, right?
Mm.
This is a mother who has now got 284 days to remain away from her child.
So they're taking off the glasses. Like, now I'm serious. This is too far. I can't have these glasses on. I'm so incensed. I'm so pumped full of the actual truth and outrage about it that I just simply have to take off these glasses for this monologue that I'm about to deliver. Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. If you're watching this, you should be absolutely outraged and terrified, and you should feel exactly the way the people that run the country want you to feel about this. Because it's 100% real, it's 100% happened, and you should never tweet what you really think ever again, because if you do, you'll end up in prison. Let me just take off these glasses to deliver this message.
From her child and her husband, and who knows, her parents, maybe, her extended family, because she wrote one angry post on social media. And she also says that this is because she herself was suffering from bereavement.
Bro, she's literally just reading what to say off that laptop. She's reading what to say off the laptop. She's reading a script off a laptop, and it probably says, like in brackets, like, be outraged. Take off glasses. You know what I mean? And it's just pure amateur dramatics. Like, and let me tell you, let's just have a second to think about this country. Wow. You know, they need an outlet like GB News. They need an outlet like GB News so they can really freak you guys out that are silly enough to watch it. You know, it's the same role that people like Lawrence Fox have, where it's just constant tweeting of like, wow, you won't believe how bad this is. You should be radicalized. You should feel terrified and angry. And you should be looking to GB News and people like us to save you, and just follow along and just feel how the news tells you to feel, and the country will just totally be fixed. You know? It's all nonsense. They need you to be afraid. They need you to self-censor. They need you to think, oh, I better not say anything about the way things are going because I don't want to end up in prison like that Lucy Connelly person who, you know, probably doesn't exist. She might be a person called Lucy Connelly, but I don't think she's married to a Conservative councillor. I don't think she's actually in prison. And there's loads of people like that have done extensive research on this, you know, that have got like a prison number and etc. And it seems like this is completely made up. And of course it's completely made up. It's on the news. Anything that's on the news like this, that's being played for emotion, you know, is completely made up. Right? If you know their name, they're in the game. I'll come on to that.
Yeah.
Tell you what she said. This was in the wake of the stabbings in Southport. Her post read on X, Twitter, mass deportation now. Set fire to all the bleep hotels full of bleeps for all I care. If that makes me racist, so be it.
Do you see what I mean? Do you see what I mean? How multi-layered the deception is here. It's incredible, right? So they pitch this, that the news is real and they're just reporting on something, and they also pitch it like the warrior mum takes off her glasses and you should be so outraged about what this poor lady who just wrote a tweet, they get you all G'd up like, oh, this poor lady, she just wrote a tweet, and then they're like, and here's what the tweet said. It's like, F you, N-bombs, I want to kill you all and eat the liver of these brown-skinned a-holes. Like, you know what I mean? And that's just the most disgusting thing that you've ever read in your entire life. Okay? And it just pushes as extreme as they can the response to a real problem, like, you know, the entities that run this country packing hotels full of dangerous illegals, you know, that have history of like sexual assault and rape. And while they devastate the country in this way, they control the response to it on stations like GB News and with completely made up circumstances like the whole Lucy Connelly thing. And there is a phrase that Miri AF came up with, whose work I'm a huge fan of, which is, if you know their name, they're in the game. So, and what that means is, because certain people that claim to be a part of the sort of truthing movement have started having a pop at Miri about this phrase, saying things like, oh, what a disgusting phrase to say. How awful it is to think like that. Whereas in actual fact, what it is absolutely bang on. If you know their name, they're in the game, it's bang on. Okay? And what it really means is, if the media are promoting something, if they're telling you about something, it's part of the whole pantomime. And that, in my experience, is 1,000% true. If you know their name, they're in the game, is probably one of the best synopsis of the way it works. If you put Lucy Connelly into YouTube and you get 500 hits from GB News and the Times and the Mail, all right, there's something up. It's part of the psychological operation that you're under. Okay? The enemy doesn't use its mass media psychological control tools to help you in any way. Okay? So if you see something that's being smashed out in your face, like Madeleine McCann or Lucy Connelly or, you know, Tommy Robinson, it's like, no, sorry guys. No. They don't broadcast, and there's a reason why they use the word broadcast. It's witchcraft, spell casting, but that's another video. You know, they don't ever use the media for something that would help you. They don't ever use the media for something that would make the country better. They only ever use the media for something that would radicalize people or make people feel angry or make people feel afraid. You know, and that's exactly what's going on in this clip. And that's exactly the way the media works. And, you know, the best outlook you could have on stuff that's promoted in the media is, if I know their name, they're in the game. And that doesn't mean, you know, I know the name of Miri AF, I know the name of James Dellingpole, I know the name of myself. It doesn't mean if you've heard of someone that they're a controlled opposition or this or that. But it means if they're being pushed, like Konstantin Kisin, for example, you know, the trigonometry boys, you know, if something's pushed and it's blown up, Russell Brand's another great example. If something is being pushed and it's huge and you're constantly hearing about them from outlets, like a good barometer is, has this person been on Piers Morgan, right? If they have, forget about it. They don't put anyone on Piers Morgan that they don't want you to know about, okay? And a lot of stuff that they're lying to you about is aimed at you as in like, wow, we're really uncovering the truth about how terrible this country is and how awful it is. Whereas meanwhile, they're just sort of pushing fear on you, and they want you to take some position where you're supporting the lady who tweeted, I hope all these immigrants get burned up in a hotel and they get killed and raped, and they want you to be like, I support that lady, you know? It's really funny. And final point, anyone who starts pointing fingers at people like Miri AF and saying that person is doing incredible damage to the movement and that's absolute poison what she's saying, I'm incredibly skeptical of you. You know, because if you're saying, oh, it's just divisive, and when you're saying if you know the name of the game, you're pointing the finger at people. Well, what are you doing when you say, oh, and she's terrible for saying that? She's ripping the movement apart. Using your brain and thinking, well, if I know the name, they're in the game. It's not ripping the movement apart. The movement is being ripped apart by people who are pretending to be in it and who are leading it in a certain direction, i.e. Lucy Connelly and the mainstream media news. And Konstantin Kisin does this quite a lot as well. It's like, oh, these people who keep calling out people as controlled opposition, they're damaging the movement. It's great when you get someone like James Stellingpole or Miri AF or somebody who you know is on the level. You know they're on the level. Their body of work shows you they are on the level. They're after the truth. They're really getting under the skin of the establishment. When you see people who are supposed to be on the same side start pointing fingers at those people that you know are on the level, it forces people, in my opinion, to show their hand. Because the dangerous work that people like Miri AF are doing, I will guarantee you, the establishment will be activating their controlled assets and saying, right, smear her, get rid of her, start people doubting what she says. Okay? So I'm more suspicious of the people that start ripping into people with a body of work like Miri AF. Way more suspicious. And it's a great barometer for me for who is really on our side, who's really out there. Because if you're deciding that you need to discredit people like Miri AF, I'm skeptical hippo. You know what I mean? Skeptical hippo. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. It went on for a long time. If you want to support this channel by coming to see me on tour, the link is in description. I'm on tour with Tanya Edwards, 2 comedians against the world. Coming soon to a town near you. Get tickets, link in description. I love you all. Have a great day. Bye.